evening, I'm Ces Oreña-Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
The big stories tonight. The National Bureau of Investigation recommends the filing of malversation charges against a former Speaker and Senate President and a former Senator. Martin Romualdez, Francis Escudero, and Nancy Binay are accused of taking cuts from flood control funds.
Meantime, a former security aide has also recounted how he would haul what he called basura, a code name for cold cash, to the posh homes of Congressman Romualdez and his ally Zaldy Co.
And while the issue of flood control is raging, many people on the path of severe tropical storm Oppong are hoping to be spared from inundation as the weather disturbance nears land.
Deliveries of cash were personally made to me by me.
Tagabuhat lang ako ng malita ng basura. Ang ibig sabihin ay malita na may lamang pera.
Indirect bribery, malversation, wala tayong sisinuhin dito.
The National Bureau of Investigation has recommended the filing of malversation charges against Senator Chis Escudero, former Senator, now Makati City Mayor Nancy Binay, and Leyte Representative Martin Romualdez. That's over alleged kickbacks in public works projects. Escudero and Binay were implicated in today's Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing by former Public Works Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo. Romualdez was tagged in the alleged kickbacks by Orly Gutesa, a former security aide of Congressman Zaldy Co. It was Justice Secretary Boying Remulla who confirmed the NBI's recommendations.
Indirect bribery, malversation, at may ibang kaso pa sa 3019.
Maybe, sir.
Ayun nga, hindi ko nga hawak yung papel eh. So, sorry.
Pero sir, Escudero, Binay,
Hindi na, I think nabasa na naman lahat eh. Nabasa na lahat. Tsaka, we gave the paper already. So, sa kanila na manggagaling.
So,
hindi mo manggagaling sa amin. Usapan po namin sa kanila manggagaling.
at may freeze order na rin, sir, sa mga bank account.
Na-inform na ho namin na AMLA. Kaya nga, naglagay pa kami ng affidavit eh. Tsaka sworn affidavit na yan, na ang tawag dyan, case build-up stage namin. Pero the moment na mag-file ng complaint kasi, that triggers already the AMLA to start filing cases.
Sir, kasama Senator Chis, kasi bago dun sa nirecommend.
Kasama na siya.
Kasama na rin.
Kasama na rin.
Kahapon kasama.
Si Speaker kasama na rin.
Recommendation pa lang.
Recommendation pa lang. Pero siyempre lahat na nabanggit doon, sensitive na matter to eh. Siyempre, wala tayong sisinuhin dito, lahat na nakasama. Isasama natin. All of that, kasi malversation covers most of it eh, sa pera eh. Ang pinakamahalaga rito yung crime sa pera na talagang nawala sa bayan, yun talaga ang kasong ilalagay. Pwede rin naman ang plunder. Kaya lang siyempre, iba ang theory ng case of plunder at iba rin ang pag-prove diyan sa korte.
Sir, may ebidensya talaga si DPWH?
Ayan nga, i-evaluate pa namin. Kasi siyempre, sabay-sabay yan, dumarating ang mga testigo. Kailangan din namin ng leeway para ma-evaluate namin na maayos.
Remulla also confirmed that Escudero and Binay have been included in the request for the issuance of freeze orders on their assets. An immigration lookout bulletin order has also been requested against the two. Both Escudero and Binay have denied the allegations against them.
Escudero says he has never had any contact with Bernardo and that it seems there is a well-orchestrated plan to attack the Senate and divert the public's attention from the real perpetrators. Nancy Binay, meanwhile, says she was surprised that she is being linked to the DPWH anomalies, noting that her performance in public service has always been above board. Congressman Eric Yap, who Gutesa accused of delivering money to Zaldy Co, denied the allegation as well. In his statement, Yap said he never accepted nor authorized the delivery of money in connection with flood control projects.
Meantime, Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin has likewise denied the allegation made by Bernardo that a former DepEd official demanded commission from infra projects, supposedly for the office of the Executive Secretary. Bersamin said his office has had no involvement in budgetary allocations for the DPWH, nor dealings with Bernardo and the DepEd executive. Former House Speaker Martin Romualdez also has issued a statement. He dismissed accusations that suitcases filled with cash were delivered to his residence on McKinley Street in Forbes Park. Romualdez branded this claim as complete fabrication. He likewise called Orly Gutesa's testimony clearly political and the product of coaching. The witness was presented by Senator Rodante Marcoleta, a known Duterte ally.
Now again, former DPWH Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo faced senators for the first time today, and his testimony was one of the triggers of possible charges against high-ranking officials. Mobile journalist Merimon Reyes has that story.
It was a bombshell of a first appearance at the Senate for former Public Works Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo. He began his testimony at the Blue Ribbon Committee with an admission of guilt.
Ako po ay umaamin sa aking maling nagawa at pinahintulutan ko po ang aking sarili na maging kasangkapan sa pagpapatupad ng isang masamang gawain. Handa po akong gawin ang lahat ng nararapat upang maiwasto ang aking kamalian.
And then the revelations, starting off with embattled and still missing in action, ako Bicol Party List Representative Zaldy Co. According to Bernardo, Co asked for a 25% cut in every flood control contract. The USEC got to pocket 2% from the pie, which he shared with former Bulacan District Engineer Henry Alcantara.
Congressman Zaldy Co one time called me to say that he met Engineer Alcantara and wanted to confirm, maayos bang kausap si Engineer Alcantara? To which I replied, maayos po. Engineer Alcantara would tell me every time that he made deliveries of cash to Congressman Zaldy Co in compliance with his commitment to Congressman Zaldy Co.
Next, former Senate President Ces Escudero. The main man in the deals, Bernardo claimed, is Escudero's close friend and major campaign contributor, Maynard Ngu. Bernardo said the agreement was 20% kickback in exchange of 800 million pesos worth of projects in the General Appropriations Act. He supposedly turned over to Ngu at least 160 million pesos for the proponent, Senator Ces.
I would like to add that deliveries of cash were personally made to me, by me, to Maynard Ngu at his office in Manila.
Bernardo also claimed that in 2023, he was prompted by Ngu to meet Escudero in a wine bar in Taguig.
He told me, alam ko naman ang galawan nyo dyan sa DPWH. Sabihin mo kay SEC magbaba sa akin. Also, the delivery of the 160 million for Senator Ces referred to in paragraph 17 of my affidavit happened sometime in the first quarter of 2025.
Next, he dropped the name of Education Undersecretary Trigiv Olayvar, who used to work for former Senator Bong Revilla. Their alleged deal, 15% kickback for projects worth 2.85 billion pesos, allegedly for the executive secretary. That's 427 million pesos. Bernardo is not sure if the ES mentioned is Lucas Bersamin.
Sometime 2024, Yusek Olayvar personally called me for a meeting to discuss about unprogrammed appropriations, supposedly for the office of the executive secretary. Yusek Olayvar told me that the commitment is 15%. In his words, boss, 15 yan.
Bernardo further claimed that former Senator Revilla directly asked for 25% so he could push for the projects. This was reportedly delivered in cash by Bernardo to the lawmaker who lost in the 2025 midterm elections.
That Senator Revilla will appreciate additional contributions for his senatorial re-election bid. Engineer Alcantara collected the 25% commitment, or about 125 million, which was turned over to me and then delivered to Senator Revilla in his house in Cavite.
Bernardo's next bombshell, former Senator and now Makati City Mayor Nancy Binay. Binay staff Carlene Villa allegedly asked for 15% cut. Bernardo came up with 37 million pesos delivered to Binay's house in Quezon City.
Ako po yung naging instrumento.
This was just Bernardo's testimony in the morning. He was brought to the Justice Department for his affidavit. When he returned to the Senate in the afternoon, the former DPWH official talked about biddings for projects which he said were just for show. Proponents get the last say where the funds will go.
Parang nirerespeto po ng mga district engineer at saka ng mga regional director kung sino po yung pinaka-proponent, kung sino yung nagbagsak ng pondo, district na po at region, ang sinasabihan na po dito. Kaya po, normally, kumbaga sa kwan po, pag sinabi pong kanila, napapatulong sa mga district, sa mga region, so pag po napatulong na ganun, of course, natutulungan po. Kasi nga, alam naman na merong mga, sometimes there are costs, project costs, Beyond doon po sa ano nila, yung mga tinatawag po ninyo na mga gastos na kailangan pong matulungan at mapunta sa kanya at maibalik sa kanya. So, doon po may nominated po na contractors. The usual ano po dito ay tumutulong po yung mga distrito.
Anong porsyento ng mga bid ang rigged or luto na? Anong porsyento yung talagang totoong bidding talaga? O do we assume na lahat ng bidding na nangyayari ay luto na, lutong-luto na?
Sa pananaw ko po, almost 100% eh. Kasi wala po talagang ano eh, napipilitan po ang ating mga district engineer, ang ating mga regional director. Pagka po kasi may nagbaba ng pondo at hindi napunta sa kanila, kutakot-takot na pong panggigipit ang gagawin nito. Kamukha po ng ating mga representative. Pagka po hindi napunta doon sa mga gusto nila, nagagalit po. Meron din pong areas na meron pong naglakad. Pag hindi po napunta sa kanila, talagang iipiting ka nun. Later on, ikaw pa po ang gagawa ng issues or kakasuhan ka pa.
He also raised many
Another revelation made before the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee was how billions of kickbacks found its way to Congressman Zaldy Co and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Co's former security aide Orly Gutesa claims he was assigned to carry and deliver luggage containing money approximately amounting to 48 million pesos each. These were delivered to the houses of Co and Romualdez.
Tagabuhat lang ako ng malita ng basura. Ang ibig sabihin ng basura ay malita na may lamang pera. Ang bawat malita ay may lamang humigit kumulang 48 million pesos. Ang bawat malita ay may push-it na nakadikit na nakasaad kung magkano ang laman ng bawat malita.
Gutesa further said that he delivered 46 pieces of luggage to Co's house. If we do the math, 48 million per luggage multiplied by 46 would amount to roughly 2.2 billion pesos. The money was initially brought to Co's house in Pasig, then on to Co's condo unit in Taguig.
Nung part of December, sir, ng 2024, doon ko po na aktuhan si Congressman Yap na siya mismo ang nag-deliver. Pagkatapos, mabilang ang sinasakay namin sa mga sakyang patungo sa Taguig, dumidiretso kami sa basement upang maibaba ang nasabing basura at dalhin sa unit ni Congressman Zaldy Co.
Gutesa also claimed that he also delivered money 3 times to Romualdez. The first delivery was 35 pieces of luggage, 12 for the second round, and 15 pieces of luggage for the third.
And joining us on the show tonight is former Congressman and now Chief Communications Officer of the House of Representatives, Ace Barbers. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Hi, good evening ladies and magandang gabi rin po sa ating mga kababayan.
So, do we know, does the House leadership know where Zaldy Co is and how will he be compelled to return home?
Well, the House of Representatives under the new Speaker, Speaker Boji, already issued a cancellation of his travel authority, meaning, this will be within 10-day period. So after this 10-day period expires, the travel outside of the country of Congressman Zaldy Co will not anymore be authorized by the House of Representatives. So that is that is the limitation of this travel authority is concerned.
How would the logistics work out? Former Kong Ace or Spokes Ace, I'm not sure what to call you. Pareho ba dun sa nagyari kay Kong Arnie Teves na parang nagsimula sa ethics complaints, expulsion, and then pinabalik siya? Or is there another method that you're looking at?
Well, so far, because he left the country because medical examination abroad, for his illness. So I believe it would be dependent on the results of his examination as to when he will be fit to travel and when he will be back here. But as far as the authority is concerned, since the new speaker has already issued a cancellation of the travel authority, therefore, anything that would transpire after the 10-day period is not authorized by the House of Representatives.
Pero alam po ba niya yun, attorney, like, are you sure that he received the cancellation? Because I'm sure you saw all over social media, nahanap na po siya ng mga marites online, di ba? He's supposedly in Madrid right now. Yeah, go on.
I have no idea whether alam na ito ni Congressman yung marites nga, nalaman natin kung ano yung location niya. I wouldn't be surprised if this information regarding the cancellation of his travel authority has already reached Congressman Zaldy Co.
Do you have a medical certificate? Because we're just relying on his word. Kung may medical reasons, anong ginagawa po niya sa Madrid, di ba? Parang nandun ba yung ospital?
Yeah. Well, honestly, Ces, no, hindi rin natin alam kung ano yung latest status and whatever information related to his medical condition. And we'll be expecting information to be shared by his office soon, no? Especially after he is informed or he is aware already of the cancellation. So far, wala pang natatanggap ang Office of the Speaker. I really don't have any idea at the moment, ladies.
And Kong, puntahan naman po natin the bombshells that were dropped today over the Senate's hearing. You have Orly Guteza implicating for the first time, lumabas na po ang pangalan talaga ni former Speaker Martin Romualdez. Have you spoken to him, sir? I know he did release a statement already, but have you talked to him since?
We haven't spoken to each other yet, but he has already issued a statement vehemently denying all these allegations. And ika nga, sabi nga ni dating speaker, mukhang pilit na pilit, no, yung statement na inisyo nitong alleged witness na iniharap kanina. No? Mukhang meron daw semblance of coaching. Ika nga, medyo mayroon daw gumawa o kumbaga nag-coach, no, na maging ganun ang senaryo.
Now let's go to more systemic issues of why these insertions happened in the first place. Any reforms being considered by the House so that this will be prevented?
Well, right now, the first thing that the House did, no, is to implement reforms in the budget process or in the crafting of the General Appropriations Bill. No, we have already invited civil society groups, no, to be observers in the process. Everything, wala na po tayong sinasabing small committee because even during the BICAM, magkakaroon din ng transparency dyan. No? I'm sure we will welcome also the presence of some observers, especially in the BICAM. Or should there be a bicameral conference committee debate?
But this new, this budget that you already approved is not free also from allegations that there may have been insertions because the practice is even before it's submitted to the House, the NEP, pinakialaman na po ng mga congressman. How do we know na hindi nangyari ito?
Well, in fairness, ladies, no, hindi po pinakialaman pa ng the budget under the National Expenditure Program is submitted to the House, no? And it is presumed that when they submit the National Expenditure Program, ang nag-submit po niyan, yung mga ahensya ng ating gobyerno na patuloy.
Okay, you're breaking up.
Hello? Yes. the alleged ginalaw o yung minanipulate na ng Kongreso yan, yun na yung sinasabing insertions.
Medyo choppy po, Attorney. Sorry, can you move lang a little bit? Baka po sayang po yung sagot ninyo.
All right, we'll just try to bring you back, former Congressman Ace Barbers, because the line is not very good. We thank you for your time. All right, well, what I was trying to ask actually was, before the NEP is even submitted, hindi ba that's based on the testimony of all the resource?
And even yung nakita natin, yung sinasabi ni Senator Ping, na may tumawag na kay Senate President Tito Soto kung may papasingit siya sa NEP, di ba? Yun yung nagyari, yung assistant daw ni former DPWH Yusek Cabral.
So, itong pinasa nila, tainted na rin eh.
Hindi lang yun, may nakita pa akong tweet kaya Professor Shelo Magno. Sabi nga niya, nilipat daw yung savings na ginawa ni Vince Dizon from DPWH to yung mga MAIFIP and yung mga ayuda programs. But I think we have... hello, Spokes Ace?
Yes.
Yes, you're back. Okay, thank you. Actually, what we were referring to is this, what they call allocable or allocable funds na sineset aside na for the congressmen to play around with. This was acknowledged by most of the resource persons in the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee.
Yes, yeah, I know. I heard about the statements made by these resource persons. And let me assure you, ladies, that hindi po lahat ng congressman ay alam po yan, no? We have our district engineers in our respective congressional districts will submit, no, those projects that is required or that is requested by our municipal mayors, our barangay captains, and we submit this, and the district engineer submits this to the Regional Development Council for validation. And kung merong endorsement ito from RDC, it will now go to the agency. If it is a DPWH infra project, the DPWH will now include this in their list to be submitted and to be written in the National Expenditure Program. So ganun po yung proseso. Kung meron man pong may nagsisingit dyan, o meron mang siguro ilan-ilan lamang, no? But I'm not really very sure about that, ladies. So I'm sorry, I cannot verify and validate that.
Well, kung another source of itong nangyayaring mga kickback nga daw is from the unprogrammed appropriations. Earlier, there was that officer or that representative from the DBM saying may mga nasasubmit nga sa kanilang mga dokumento from DPWH, pero parang it still lacks stringent measures kasi nare-release pa rin itong mga funds from unprogrammed appropriations. What reforms can be put in place para mas mabantayan po itong unprogrammed appropriations?
Well, under the General Appropriations Act, yung unprogrammed funds can only be released if the target revenues are met. No, meaning if there are other sources of revenue aside from what is projected in the budget. Halimbawa po, no, if the estimated collection of taxes for the year, let's say, for example, is 1 billion, and we are able to meet the target half year, meaning we are already 80% within the period of 6 months. So pwede na nating gamitin yung sinasabing unprogrammed appropriation because there is a clear source of revenue that can be used for that. So yun yung and this should be strictly implemented. Meron kasing, it seems that meron kasing nakialam dun sa unprogrammed appropriation eh. So dapat talaga striktuhan ito at meron tayong monitoring dito.
Okay, with regard to insertions, no, Attorney, kagabi kausap namin si Senator Erwin Tulfo. Sabi niya ang isang, kumbaga, pagbabago na tinatry nilang tignan or for sure gusto niyang i-propose after nitong Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, gagawin na lang daw lahat ng insertions sa second reading para daw talagang transparent, nandun siya sa floor at lahat ng tao pwede makinig. Pabor ba ang lower house sa ganyang klaseng proposal?
Well, if that proposal reached the members of the lower house, I believe, ako personally, I will agree to that, no, and support that. But this has to be shared among the members of the lower house so that they can get a clear picture of what this reform will be.
Oh yes, it is early days yet naman daw, to be fair. Pero just to circle back to Zaldy Co, Attorney, ano po yung plano ninyo? Like, I know we talked about it earlier, pero sa ngayon kasi it's up in the air. Have you set a deadline na parang if we don't hear from him by this date, then maybe there's something that you guys will do that's a little bit more, kumbaga,
Well, some members of the lower house are actually mulling a case, no, an ethics case against Congressman Zaldy Co. But this is yet to be discussed by the leadership, and I'm sure, no, that we will confer and ask the members, the party leaders, what their thoughts on this ethics complaint that they are mulling about. So we'll see.
That's been filed.
Will come.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but hasn't that been filed by Congressman Toby Tiangco?
I have no idea actually if this has already been filed. No, as we speak, I have no information whether this has been filed by Congressman Toby Tiangco. So, but I'm sure if ever it is filed, I'm sure it will come out in the media. And so far, honestly, I haven't seen a complaint nor heard that a complaint was already filed.
Actually, he was on our show a few nights ago, and he confirmed that he did file. And I believe the next morning, he even filed a supplementary to that ethics complaint.
Oh, well, maybe, because the members will be given a copy of this complaint. And the plenary will schedule the hearing of this complaint, and perhaps that's the only time we'll be able to say that there is indeed a complaint filed.
Okay. The budget deliberations in plenary, because the committee has passed it, right? Has approved it, rather. How are they going? How are they proceeding?
Well, so far, the first day, which is yesterday, went on smoothly. Most of the non-controversial agencies have been scheduled for the first day and on the second day, which is today. So far, smooth sailing naman. No controversies, no nothing. So we continue. The House has continued the deliberations and questions are raised by the members. So far, it is still smooth sailing, so to speak.
And finally, what's the mood there? Because, you know, in the Senate, everybody's up in arms, accusing the resource persons of, you know, selectively accusing some personalities. And then is the House also awaiting with bated breath kung sino ang susunod na mapangalanan? Paano po bang mood dyan?
Siguro, I don't see any tension at all at the moment, honestly. But of course, we will probably, as the revelation comes out, siguro that's the only time we'll be able to sense what the general sentiments of the lower house members are. But so far, we're very busy doing our job. The lower house is very busy doing its job, finishing the budget, because this is a very important piece of legislation. And then maybe later on, after this, we will be able to more or less see. Because, you know, in the lower house, they have already decided to stop the investigation of the Infracom.
Right.
So because we forwarded all the documents, all the evidence, even testimonies and transcripts of our resource persons to the ICI. We believe that there is a need to do that in order to assure the public that there will be no influence, no cover-up that will happen in the conduct of the investigation by the ICI. So there is a strong commitment of support and assistance to the ICI if ever they need this from the House.
Finally, sir, one question na lang po. What is your take on restitution na kailangan ibalik lahat ng mga allegedly ninakaw na mga involved? And is the former speaker also willing to appear before the ICI?
Well, una dun sa restitution. Of course, I will agree that there must be some restitution, no? Magsuli, hindi inyo yan eh. Isuli nila yan. No? Pangalawa, managot sila. Kasi hindi ibig sabihin na kapag ikaw ay nagsoli, you will be exonerated from whatever criminal act or offense you have committed. So managot ka. Let your lawyers do the work for you in the proper court. I'm sure the speaker also, because ngayon lang lumabas yung pangalan niya, no? Maraming mga haka-haka, maraming mga innuendos, pero ito directly coming from this witness na mukha namang na-coach, ika nga ni speaker, at mukha namang parang itinulak.
You share that belief that he was coached?
Well, honestly, I haven't read his affidavit, nor have I seen him talking. But based on the news accounts, I believe that there could be some inconsistencies in his statements, based on what I initially gathered. So.
All right, we thank you for your time. Chief Communications Officer of the House of Representatives, former Congressman Ace Barbers.
And we're just going to pause for a quick break, but we have more stories coming up on the flood control probe when we return. This is the Big Story on One News. Stay tuned.
Gawad Kalinga founder Tony Meloto's life work and legacy now in peril. He's accused of sex trafficking by two of his former male students. Saint? Sinner? Or a mere man who, like everyone else, has battles to fight? Listen to the stories of his accusers and defenders in and outside the place where the sexual abuse supposedly happened. This is Enchanted, not a fairy tale. Catch it on Saturday, September 27 at 7:30 p.m. only on One News. All sides, all the time.
You're watching The Big Story here on One News. Severe tropical storm Oppong maintains its strength as it makes its way to land. Per Pag-asa's most recent update, Oppong is only less than 200 kilometers east of Giwan, eastern Samar. That's why wind signals are now up in almost the entire country. Signal number 3 is hoisted in Sorsogon and the northern portion of Masbate, as well as in northern Samar and the northern portions of eastern and northern Samar. These areas in Luzon are under signal number 2, the eastern portion of Batangas, southern portion of Quezon, Camarines provinces, Albay, Catanduanes, the rest of Masbate, as well as Marinduque, Romblon, and Oriental Mindoro. Also under signal number 2, this time in the Visayas, are the central portions of eastern Samar and Samar, Biliran, and the northwestern portion of Leyte.
Meantime, more areas are under signal number 1. In Luzon, there is the central and southern portions of Isabela, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, Ifugao, the southwestern portion of Mountain Province, Benguet. the southern portion of Ilocos Sur, as well as La Union, Pangasinan, Aurora, Nueva Ecija, Tarlac, Zambales, Bataan, Pampanga, Bulacan, Metro Manila, Rizal, Cavite, the rest of Batangas and Quezon, Laguna, Occidental Mindoro, Cuyo Islands, and Calamian Islands. In the Visayas, signal number 1 is up over the rest of eastern Samar, Samar and Leyte, southern Leyte, the northern portions of Cebu, Negros Occidental, Iloilo and Antique, Capiz, and Aklan. While in Mindanao, the islands of Siargao, Bocas Grande, and Dinagat Islands are all under signal number 1. Malacanang already ordered the suspension of all classes and government work in Metro Manila, Biliran, the Samar provinces, Masbate, Romblon, and Sorsogon. While classes, or only classes in all levels, are suspended for those in Aklan, Albay, Antique, Batangas, Bataan, the Camarines provinces, Capiz, Cavite, Catanduanes, Guimaras, Iloilo, Laguna, Leyte, Marinduque, Negros Occidental, Oriental Mindoro, Rizal, and Quezon. Pag-asa forecasts Oppong to make landfall over northern Samar or the northern portion of eastern Samar by tomorrow morning before it goes up to the Bicol region and possibly make another landfall in Sorsogon by Friday morning. Pag-asa says it is highly possible that Oppong will reach typhoon category.
Now, in other news, the Justice Department says it has stepped up efforts to find the whereabouts of Ako Bicol Party List representative Zaldy Co. Secretary Boying Remulla says an interagency effort is underway to track Co, who remains elusive. Alleged sightings of Co have, however, gone viral online. This one supposedly shows him in an airport abroad. A photo of a boarding pass with Co's name have also made the rounds online, showing that he may have already flown to Spain. Remulla says they are validating all information pertaining to Co. An immigration lookout bulletin order on the lawmaker is also now in effect.
Well, there's a boarding pass. Boarding pass ba yun? Or there were flight details sent to us, but we have to validate.
Remulla also clarified that former DPWH officials Bryce Hernandez, JP Mendoza, Henry Alcantara, Roberto Bernardo, as well as contractors Curly and Sara Discaya are now under provisional coverage of the Witness Protection Program. This means the DOJ will provide assistance limited to security and escort as investigations into alleged flood control anomalies continue. Remulla added that this coverage is meant to protect the witnesses from harm and not from liability.
They apply to the witness protection. But for them to become state witnesses is another matter. So provisional means they're not at state witnesses, if there will be. But it's our duty to protect them because witnesses who will testify in a criminal prosecution for the government against the persons who violated the law need protection.
And you're hearing this first on One News. The Malolos City, Bulacan RTC Branch 76 has issued an arrest warrant against Gawad Kalinga founder Tony Meloto. That's over qualified sex trafficking charges. One News obtained a copy of the arrest warrant, which was confirmed by one of Meloto's legal counsels, attorney Veronica Regina Soriano. She said that her client is prepared to face all allegations against him in trial. They are currently waiting for his medical clearance. Two young men filed the case, both former scholars of GK School of Experiential and Entrepreneurial Development, or SEED. I was able to sit down with the complainants, the accused, Tony Meloto, and others who are key voices to this case. Their stories are all in the One News documentary called Enchanted, Not a Fairy Tale, Meloto and the Abuse Scandal. That special is airing Saturday, September 27 at 7:30 p.m.
Now let's hit pause on the hard news and celebrate the achievements of two of our countrymen. Filipino tennis ace Alex Ayala is headed to the round of 16 of the 2025 Jingshan Tennis Open in China. Ayala defeated Belarusian Alyona Falay 6-3, 7-5 on Tuesday. Ayala quickly took the opening frame but got into a heated match in the second quarter. She will play next against Japan's Mei Yamaguchi. Meanwhile, Jessica Sanchez may have lost the American Idol, but it turns out she's destined to win America's Got Talent. Americans voted for Sanchez as the season 20 winner, beating improv rapper Chris Turner. Sanchez belted Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga's Die With a Smile. She takes home $1 million in cash prize.
So great for her to win, and she's pregnant.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So amazing.
Congratulations.
In the meantime, we are going to be pausing for another quick break, but right after that, we will be speaking to a woman of power whose crusade for the environment has won her prestigious awards. Sustainability is up next. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back to The Big Story. An environmental crusader in Los Baños, Laguna was recently named one of the 15 outstanding women in the nation's service. Towns recognized Dr. Decibel Faustino Eslava in the field of environmental science for local learning communities. She stands alongside other exceptional women of the year, such as attorney Cristina Conti, Shelo Magno, and AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla. Last year, Dr. Eslava took the distinction of Outstanding Filipino bestowed by Metrobank Foundation. For 3 decades, Dr. Eslava's interdisciplinary work has advocated for environmental education, disaster resilience, and sustainable development. Here we feature individuals and initiatives that champion the environment. Welcome to Sustainability. We delve deeper into the advocacies of Dr. Decibel Faustino Eslava, from Project Saray Centro to Pamana, a driver of smart agriculture and responsible mining that helped countless people. Dr. Eslava, who teaches at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, joins us via Zoom. Good evening, Doctor. Welcome to Sustainability.
Good evening, Tess, Pauline, and Shawn. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
You are a PhD holder and you have a double major in, hold on, Earth Systems and Geology, Master of Science in Geology. But you've decided to focus your efforts on disaster risk reduction when you came back from Japan. Tell us about it. You experienced flooding, don't we all?
Yes. It's becoming more frequent now. So after doing my PhD, it wasn't Japan. After Japan, I went to Hong Kong for my PhD. And the first assignments I got, one of the first, were to visit disaster-stricken areas, particularly after Ondoy and Pepeng in 2009. Prior to that, my work really focused on geochemistry and magnetism of rocks. So it's really very far from what I'm doing now. But I was flying in from a trip to China, and then I looked out the window and I saw all the streets in Manila as the plane was coming down. All the streets were brown, and I was thinking, what's wrong? What's happening? I was in China for about a week, and that was the week of Ondoy. And I realized a lot of things are changing from when I was really in Manila. And I went around. Ondoy was shocking. I used to live in Pasig. We were originally from Pasig, and my cousin's house were flooded to the roof. And then after that, tuloy-tuloy na. Every year, something was really happening. And fortunately, UPLB recruited me, and I went into the School of Environmental Science and Management. And that's when I started to learn that the science that we're doing can only really make a difference if we start going down to the community level. So from the so-called ivory tower of geochemistry and magnetism, I had to, get real and think about how to help communities more.
And well, we are bracing for a super typhoon Oppong. And tell us what strides you have made and how important it is for communities to really get to the grassroots, and how communities can be better, how can they cope better with disasters like these?
Right. So there are many approaches. You know that there are two ways that we can look at the problem. The most important is adaptation. We know we're already feeling what climate change is doing. More rains, more waters, more floods, and during the dry season, not enough water, not enough water to go around. So we have two options to adopt. That's the first one. It's urgent. So we need to figure out what we need to do, and that goes down to what does an individual have to know, what actions an individual has to take, and then bring it up to the family level, to the community or barangay level, and then also a top-down approach. Things don't really move unless there's policy and money to support the actions. So in terms of adaptation, the government already put together a document, the National Adaptation Plan, and it outlines what we need to do for sectors, I think 8 sectors of society that includes agriculture and fisheries, housing. So there's 8 of those. And then there's another document, the nationally determined contributions to mitigating greenhouse gases. And it banks on really how do we contribute to the global goal of cutting down on emissions. Now, for me, the more important part is the adaptation, because it is, like I said, more urgent. We're feeling it now. Apektado na tayo. It's really killing us now. So what do we do? There's a stream of work under the UNFCCC and the Paris Convention of 2020 that says we need to invest in education, public awareness, training, public participation, public access to information, and international cooperation, so that everyone, individuals, can take action to empower everyone. So this is what we call the Action for Climate Empowerment. This is a voluntary stream under the UNFCCC that facilitates high-impact action against climate change. And it shifts the focus of climate strategies on every member of society, on you and me. What do we need to do to combat whatever it is that's happening to us now? So in terms of what's happening to us now, the typhoon coming in, Oppong, is a lot like Ondoy. It's slow, it's not very strong, but it has a lot of water. So what do? We cannot take the regular action, just, people complaining earlier, bakit walang pasok ang araw-araw naman? So there's a lot of things that we need to do in terms of educating our communities. What do those pag-asa warnings mean? They're not typhoon signal 1 kasi nandyan na siya. It's a warning na you have so many hours to prepare. Ang tagal na nating binabagyo, and yet our communities, maybe even some of us, don't still know what the warnings mean. So there's a lot of work to do in terms of educating, making people aware, so that they can really participate and take action at the individual level.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, last night we had the UNWFP country head here, Mr. Regis Chapman, and he was discussing about how BBM just signed, this landmark legislation about
anticipated action.
Yes,
for short.
ADA, for short. For you, is that sort of thing, like institutionalizing basically things that we have learned, like, kumbaga, sige, di ba, maglilikas na ako, hindi na ako maghahantay, napilitin ako nung mga rescuers. Have you felt like on the ground these things are actually improving na, yung people taking affirmative action and anticipative action?
Yes, that action, that group of work that you described is what we call anticipatory action. So it covers yung immediate action before or when something is about to come, but it also covers yung long-term preparatory work. For example, how do we prepare our yung mga health centers for coping with stressors such as extreme heat events or extreme rainfall events. So it doesn't only cover yung immediate na actions, but yes, yung actions that people are doing now, it's getting better. People are, first, they're listening to Pag-asa now. Pag-asa receives less bashers now, I think. And people curious about, they're asking bakit merong signal tapos meron pang hiwalay for rainfall. So just the fact that people are asking means that they're trying to understand the information that's being put forward for them. So that's a lot of, those are some of the changes that are happening. But there's still more that we need to do. There was a survey conducted among students and then also other older members of society, asking them if they are aware of what climate change is, what disaster risk is, what disasters and hazards are, how they're different. So a lot of the students answered they're aware, but they feel that they're not technically equipped. When the same questions were asked of teachers, they're aware, but when they were asked to define what climate change is, less than 30% were able to correctly describe what climate change is, what hazards are, what disasters are. So there's awareness, but there's not enough correct information going around. So the ACE strategy that we're developing, and we're co-developing this with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources and the Climate Change Commission. So we're putting together, we did several surveys of national government agencies, and even in our agencies, we found a very low level of correct awareness. There is awareness, but it's not always correct. So if you don't know something the proper way, the correct way, you don't know enough about it, then you cannot take proper action to address it. So the strategy now that we're proposing is for the first step for the government itself to work on capacitating its members, its the bodies, and then from there create strategies that could support the actions being proposed by the government. Like I mentioned earlier, we have those two documents, the NAP, the National Adaptation Plan, and all our government, most of our government agencies have something to play in that NAP. And then also the NDC, the Nationally Determined Contribution. So if they all have roles to play and they don't know about it, then who's going to play the part? We actually did a survey, and we started this work last year, and we asked them, are there ACE strategies? Because the ACE work officially should have started, or by 2012, the Philippines should already have submitted documents to the UNFCCC about what we've been doing, and we haven't really done anything. We only started last year. And when we were asking partners in national government agencies, are there ACE initiatives in your offices? And what's ACE? That's a question that we got. So we started, so we suggested we start with our government agencies first. And then from there, once we have the policies, then hopefully we will receive funding for those so that the policies could be implemented.
You're right, Dr. No. Education is very, very important. And speaking of education, will you also pioneer the PhD in environmental diplomacy and negotiations? It's the first of its kind globally. I'm curious, Doctor, what would you say is the most effective strategy in training and teaching the next generation?
All right, so the PhD in environmental diplomacy and negotiations is very unique. You know that we have a lot of environmental conflicts in resource use and utilization and access. So we want to come up or train cadres of environmental leaders who are not only very emotional about the issues, but that they are technically adept. They know what they're talking about, and they know the strategies for negotiating, and also to be diplomatic about it. So that's what we're doing. We're training PhD people. So these are already professionals. The cohort, the first cohort, we already have 3 batches now, but the first cohort, we're very proud of them. One is from the military, one is from Congress, actually, a lawyer in Congress. Another is with a global aid agency, one is from an environmental institution, and another is from the industry, from pharmaceuticals. So yes, because the interest of the pharmaceuticals is in piracy, biopiracy. Can you imagine that we are actually competing with the world in terms of resources, not just with our neighbor China. There are other countries that are interested in what we have. We found out that some of our students who are studying, for example, carbon stock, so this is related just to climate change studies, but the samples that she brought it to another country. The professors there asked if they could keep the samples, and the mistake of us, the student was she didn't ask us, but normally we don't allow it because there is a chance that those materials would contain microbes that could be used for medicinal research.
Oh.
Yes. And so we need to teach people, take care of our resources, don't just give them away.
Right.
And there have been several problems about that. You could see publications na, naka-develop sila ng something, and then you look at the materials, uy, galing sa amin yan. Tapos wala pong katrabahong Filipino. So we need to teach them. And our approach now is to teach at the PhD level, because these are the people who can make a difference really in coming up with policies and frameworks and strategies that could really matter.
Dr. Day, we can really feel your passion, even if you're not with us in the studio, about the work that you're doing. I want to ask you one final question and a short answer, please, because we're running out of time. But paano naman yung human disaster? Yung disaster caused by humans, like flood control, corruption. Here you are doing your work, and it's just being destroyed by corrupt politicians. And does it not dissuade you from the work that you're doing?
It makes me angry, and and I want to do something about it. You know, they take a lot of my money every month, no, panggata sana yun ng anak ko, pero it goes to their pockets. But when you're angry about something, you feel more passionate about it, and it fuels me. So I want to leave a better world for my child, and I just keep doing this. So the science would always teach us, diba, what sound decisions should be, but the value system of a coach of a community would prevail. It's always what would prevail. So it's complicated. So me as a scientist, as a physical scientist, I need to work more with communities and with social scientists to find out solutions that, you know, physical sciences may not be able to give. And that's the complicated part, the human side to all of this. So OGK na lang, only God knows where things are going. But I hope it would go somewhere, you know, beautiful and sustainable, because this isn't really for us, it's for our children.
We thank you so much for your time. You are an inspiration, Dr. Decibel Faustino Eslava.
Maraming salamat po.
Right, and before we go, here's our big picture tonight. It's French President Emmanuel Macron stuck in New York City's sidewalk amid heavy traffic. An NYC police officer stopped the world leader from crossing the street because of U.S. President Donald Trump's motorcade. In jest, Macron invited the cop to a negotiation, which is a light-hearted reference to negotiations he and other leaders are engaged in this week for the annual United Nations General Assembly at the Big Apple. Forced to wait at the barricade, Macron then rang Trump, and here's how that quick phone call went.
No, I have 10 people with me. I go to the French embassy.
No. I'm sorry, President, I'm really sorry. It's just that everything's in frozen right now. There's a motorcade coming away. That's why.
Oh, sorry. If you don't see it, let me cross. I negotiate with you.
No, it's not that.
How are you? Guess what? I'm waiting in the street because everything is frozen for you.
Are you sorry? That's because I good thing you know.
I don't know, it's still 3 or 4 in the afternoon. But I would love if we can. Yeah, I know, I will follow. But you know, after I would love if we can have a short discussion with Qatar and you on the situation in Gaza, because we were.
Wow.
Dapat gawin din natin yan sa mga leaders natin. Palakarin din natin.
Ayan.
Minor na punishment naman yan.
Minor ba? Ano pa ba pwede?
Diba ang DOTR ngayon, yung mga officials dapat mag-commit na once a week?
Yes.
Follow up din natin yan.
Follow up natin.
Kaso meron silang helicopter, Learjet, etc.
Yate. Ang tanong, nasa yung mga yon?
Hinahanap pa.
Alright, and that will do it for us on The Big Story this Thursday. Thank you so much for watching.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
We'll be back here tomorrow at 7:30. See you then. Have a good night.